Story 1. I am often told that I seem very collected and confident. I just internalize my freakouts. Let me introduce you to my shredded insides. I feel like that may sound like a goth invitation for sex. It is not. Story 2. People think I am ignoring them, but I am just socially exhausted. Story 3. Because I have a poker face most of the time, I come across as rude and unapproachable. Story 4. People assume I am arguing with them, but 99% of the time I am just asking questions for clarification. Story 5. I am overweight. People assume I caused my diabetes. Wrong. It is autoimmune diabetes. Story 6. I do not know what people assume about me. I do not have time for that. Story 7. People assume I am very confident. What they don't know is that I had to develop that front to save myself from years of bullying. Story 8. People think I'm trying to be a know-it-all or a show-off, but I'm autistic and get really excited about my special interests. Story 9. People think quiet equals stuck up, but I swear I am not. People often say I am cute but are surprised when I use crude language. I use many instances of the F word. Story 10. People assume I am an extrovert, but I am actually an introvert who has learned to overcompensate. Story 11. People think I'm judging them, but they're actually just projecting. Story 12. I am 6 feet 2 inches tall. People often ask which sport I play, but I am not interested in sports. Story 13. People always say I am so strong for getting past monumental problems. It is not strength. It is a lack of choice. Story 14. I just finished my undergraduate and master's degrees a few years ago and have worked in my current field for a few years. So people assume I am in my late 20s or early 30s. I also look that age. I have good skin, few wrinkles, not much gray hair, and I dress in jeans, t-shirts, and sweaters. People treat me as if I know nothing and have no experience. Trainers in new positions sometimes get upset if I have an opinion or do things slightly differently. They talk down to me as if I am a kid. In reality, I am in my mid-40s. I returned to university for those degrees in my mid-30s. I first attended university at the typical age, graduated, worked for 10 years, did not like my field, and switched to an adjacent one. I have been working in my fields for over 25 years and have experience and knowledge from all of that. I am willing to admit when I do not know something. When I said I was not confident I knew how to do something in my current position, my boss joked that the lack of confidence was staggering. I am underconfident in the right contexts, but when I know what I know, I say it. I just have great skin and a youthful demeanor. I also do not have children. People have been assuming I am in my 20s for 20 years. Laughing out loud. Story 15. People say I'm outgoing and the life of the party and that I can always bring positivity. The truth is it is exhausting to pretend. When I finish work, my battery is drained. Story 16. I'm a therapist, so people who don't know me well sometimes assume that, first, I am analyzing them, or second, that I want to hear about their thoughts and struggles. For example, when I write my occupation on the forms at the rental car counter, the clerk will suddenly tell me about their mental health diagnosis or the fight they had with their spouse. It's kind of funny, but it also sadly reminds me how many people out there need help. Story 17. You might think I am homeless. Laughing out loud. I am not, far from it. I actually have a lot of money, but I am going through a rough time recovering from caring for my father. My hygiene fell off a cliff because I had to pour every bit of energy into caring for him, and it is a struggle to get back to taking care of myself. I am getting there slowly. Story 18. People think I'm very confident, but it's an act. I'm actually very self-critical. Story 19. I am old, fat, white, and originally from a red state. People assume I am a conservative or a Trump supporter, but I have always been a liberal. Story 20. Just because I'm Asian doesn't mean I'm automatically interested in white men. I sometimes am, but not as often as people assume. Story 21. That I'm dumb, which I have made everyone believe for my own benefit. Laughing out loud. Story 22. People think I am a lesbian or a man. I am a straight woman. Story 23. As a skinny 6'2" man, Everyone considers me well endowed, which is pretty depressing. Story 24. I do exercise despite chronic pain, but my spine is affected by a degenerative condition that is slowly collapsing. My vertebrae are damaged and fused together. You think I would not sit up if I could? Story 25. People say I'm sharp and should be doing better things with my life just because I'm kind and empathetic. I actually struggle cognitively and have never been good at school or anything like that. Story 26. I live in a bilingual city, French and English. For some reason, people assume I cannot speak French even though I am functionally bilingual. Story 27. People assume I'm not paying attention, but I notice everything. I just choose not to react. Story 28. People assume that because I am politically left-leaning, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer, a woman, and in favor of gun control, I do not own a gun. I do. I live in the middle of nowhere. It is more likely that a rabid raccoon would knock on my door than a stranger would. Story 29. They think I grew my beard dishonestly, using all sorts of means. Whenever I am in the company of men, they comment on it. The most outrageous thing I have heard is, "He does not deserve to have such a beard. I did not grow it on purpose. It is neither large nor lush. It simply grows quickly and thickly, like my father's. I have never visited a barber and I do not groom or maintain my beard." They also say I use steroids for muscle growth, although I am not a ripped man. In high school and college, I did freestyle wrestling and bench press. People also criticize my hobby of throwing knives and axes. Some say I am preparing to become a thug or trying to attract attention, but no one considers that I do it simply because I enjoy it. Story 30. People assume I am a bigoted, anti-trans racist, but I am really a thoughtful, kind person. Story 31. People assume I am taking advantage of the system because I do not work and have been on benefits for many years. In reality, I am unemployed and struggling with health issues. I am applying for disability and am one step away, but the process could take months or years depending on when I get a specialist appointment. I wish I did not have to rely on benefits to barely survive. I live below the poverty line in a developed country and continue to struggle with my health and life in general. This is not a luxurious life, and I would not want it even if I were not in constant suffering. Story 32. People say I'm fun or freaky. I am a prude and not fun at all. Story 33. People assume I know where I'm going, but I only have a fast, confident stride and a terrible sense of direction. Story 34. People say I'm genetically thin, but that's not true. I have been conscious of nutrition since I was a teenager. All my family members except my dad are overweight. In general, they are sedentary and eat unhealthy food. I work hard not to succumb to their habits. Story 35. Because of my age, people assume that I am a boomer in attitude. I am not. I have lived with those people, and I am tired of being lumped in with them. Story 36. People think I'm intimidating or scary, but I just have angular features and a resting glare. I'm always in my own head, puzzling over something. Story 37. People think I'm shy and awkward because I'm insecure. I feel I'm okay being myself and don't need to perform. Story 38. People assume many incorrect things about me. I sat for 5 minutes trying to pick one. Every sentence I start is taken as a lie or a bending of the truth even when I am being completely raw and honest. Story 39. I am quiet and focused. I am not much for social chit-chat. I have a job with many moving parts, a lot of information, and physical duties. People are surprised when they realize I am quite personable and have a great sense of humor. Once, on a bad day at work, someone told me they had thought I was mean, but I was simply stressed. I burst out laughing. Story 40. People think I am oblivious and too serious. In fact, I just don't care and deliberately take on only limited responsibility. Story 41. People have always thought I was snobby. I have a strange aura, I guess. I just have a stiff neck and can't turn my head. Story 42. I am outdoorsy and say that I like gardening. I am a big nerd. I like board games, video games, and cat videos. I was a Boy Scout during my formative years and know a lot about hiking and camping, But people do not know that and assume I hike every weekend and want to live off the grid. I would like to go camping if I knew anyone willing to go with me, but I find gardening boring and not worth the effort. Story 43. I am very tall for a woman, so people assume I play basketball. I never have and never learned the rules of basketball, so I have no interest in it. Story 44. People assume I'm younger than I am. I'm not very tall and never lost the baby fat around my face. Story 45. I am a medically retired Army Ranger. When people hear Ranger, they assume I am a John Wick type person. In reality, I am a normal, everyday guy. The Army paid me to do very difficult things, but I am a 36-year-old who likes classical music, history books, documentaries, watching The Real Housewives with my wife, and going to bed by 10 p.m. Story 46. That I am somehow inherently racist because of the color of my skin. Story 47. People say I am rich so many times. I'm not exactly broke, but I'm far from being rich. If only I were as rich as they assume, I would be laughing my ass off. Story 48. People assume I am very outgoing. I am not. I am friendly but not consumed by being extroverted. Story 49. They think that because I have an alternative emotional grunge aesthetic, I am suicidal. I don't know where that notion came from since I am always so cheery. Story 50. People apparently believe I enjoy talking to strangers. Everywhere I go, people start talking to me about anything, from the weather to their experiences with addiction or their child's troubled relationship. I'm not interested in talking to them, but I feel bad being rude, so I usually do. Story 51. People assume I'm always calm and organized, but little do they know that I lose my phone while I'm talking on it. Story 52. Folks think I'm always outgoing, but I actually enjoy my quiet moments more than people expect. Story 53. As a black woman, people assume I'm strong and independent. I'm sensitive and I need help. Story 54. Most people are often scared of me. I am a big, tall man, muscular and rough-looking. I worked in steel mills for 25 years and have kept a shaved head for the last 20 years. I also have a serious, intimidating expression. While I have been in many physical fights, it takes a lot to get me to that point. Under most circumstances, I am a decent person, even if I do not talk much. Looks are the first thing people notice, and I have had many people back away when I walk into a room. My wife said she knew I was a decent person because children and animals like me. Story 55. Many people assume I am having a midlife crisis because I drive a Porsche. I truly enjoy driving, and nothing else compares to that car. I paid $13,000 for it, which is far less than most people pay for their cars, so I am not spending a lot of money on it. Story 56. People think I am wilder than I am, or was when I was younger, because I have tattoos and enjoy experimenting with hair color. I was very shy growing up and had a stutter that prevented me from speaking, and I was extremely socially awkward. I got my tattoos because I like how they look. I rarely drink and I married my first boyfriend. We have been together 22 years this month. People assume I was cool and then finally settled down, but I was always serious, bookish, and rather dull. Story 57. People assume I am a pushover because I have a good heart and genuinely care for others. What they do not know is that if they wake the beast inside me, they will never think that way again. Story 58. People assume so much about me, but they are very wrong. One thing is hard to pinpoint, though. Story 59. They think I am untalented, but I have so much to offer. Laughing out loud. Story 60. I have a long beard, a shaved head, and tattoos. All of my children's friends think I am a dangerous biker, which I am not. It does make boys think twice about messing with my daughter, so I am not complaining. Story 61. I have heard from several people that I look aggressive. I am actually quite kind. If someone bothers me, I will stand up for myself, but I do not do that unless it is necessary. Story 62. I have 2 children and genuinely enjoy being a mom. Many people assume I am pro-life or against abortion. Story 63. I get 2 drastically different assumptions. 1. That I am an uptight, judgmental religious zealot. 2. That I am completely without good morals. Story 64. I forgot something. Some people automatically assume that because I am Canadian and Italian, my family and my husband are either in the mafia or work in construction. We are not in the mafia, and neither my family nor my husband works in construction. Story 65. People say I always look angry. In school, I practiced not smiling because, as a short guy, smiling made me look goofy. Not smiling did stop others from trying to bully or intimidate me. I am now practicing how to smile because it is important to look approachable when you are looking for work or trying to get dates. Story 66. People think I am a social butterfly, but in reality, I would rather be left alone. Story 67. They think I have an attitude because I don't talk to them, but it's actually because I'm an introvert. Story 68. Does being a bald, older white male who wears American Pride clothing and owns guns make me a Republican? Story 69. Mean or scary? Not at all. I just have an intimidating look. Story 70. I may seem rude because I rarely talk to people, but it's because I'm autistic. Story 71. People think I'm smart because I wear glasses, but I'm kinda stupid. Story 72. My name sounds like an alcohol brand, so people assume I drink a lot and enjoy it. I dislike that drink and usually have 1 to 2 beers a month. Story 73. People assume I am Hispanic and therefore speak Spanish. I am half black and half white, so my complexion is ambiguous. The number of people who come up to me speaking Spanish is astonishing. It is even worse when they become offended that I do not speak it. My parents did not speak Spanish at home. I am not Hispanic. Story 74. A surprising number of people have assumed I am vegetarian. Story 75. Although my parents are wealthy, they give me no money and pay for nothing. I live paycheck to paycheck. Story 76. People say I am being confrontational when I am just stating facts. Story 77. I present myself as a white-collar worker struggling to keep my head above water, but I am actually wealthy from fortuitous investments and am only working until we can retire early in a year or two. Story 78. As a 60-year-old Caucasian woman, people assume I am Republican. Trust me, I am not. Story 79. My mom assumes I am cold and unbothered to the point of stoicism because I do not express my emotions openly, or at least not as openly as she does. I am actually deeply troubled, heavily medicated, living with post-traumatic stress disorder and dealing with many problems. Story 80. I have been told several times that I am mysterious. I do not overshare personal information right away, especially if I get the sense that you are untrustworthy. Story 81. I do not know. I feel like people assume I am uneducated because I am black. Or maybe I am reaching. I get a lot of surprising responses when I tell people I am a registered nurse. They start treating me differently when they learn my profession. Story 82. People think I am a massive Trekkie. I have no idea why, but Trekkies seem to assume I am really into Star Trek. I can now carry on a decent conversation about Star Trek because I have pieced together much of the lore from conversations, despite never having watched any of the shows. Story 83. One piece of feedback that hit me recently was that I come across as overconfident and arrogant. My boss gave me that feedback after a work event, and I am still trying to understand why. At work events, I usually keep my talking to a minimum. I do not make audacious claims or brag. I show up, do what is needed, and leave. Story 84. When I worked in experimental performance, my general working vibe was one of childlike curiosity and lighthearted imagination. My work explored serious and complex themes, but I often contributed sections full of joy and life. People would casually describe me as sweet and innocent. I heard too pure for this world more than once. I am a survivor of abuse and of a cult. I have friends who are dead or missing. I have overcome addiction, and all I was left with was post-traumatic stress disorder for the rest of my life. So I am going to make art about rainbows and friendship. Thank you very much. Story 85. They say I don't have my life together because I can change plans on a dime. I can only do that because I am so in control. I have 2 jobs, a side gig I volunteer, and I am fixing up my house. That wouldn't work if I didn't have my life together in a big way. Story 86. People think I am posh and well off financially. I was raised in the south of the United Kingdom, so I come across as well-spoken and take pride in my vocabulary and demeanor. In reality, I am paying off credit cards and will finish by June 2026. I earn below average and have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which has significantly affected my output and potential over the years. Story 87. I am a Christian, so some people make assumptions about my political beliefs, but I am as blue, liberal, and democratic as you can get. Story 88. People often think I like to argue. In reality, I enjoy learning why people hold certain opinions, especially when they differ from mine. From experience, a lot of people do not like explaining themselves or do not know why they feel the way they do, and they can become quite upset when I ask why they like something or why they feel that way. Story 89. People say I'm naive because I believe most people are good. I'm optimistic, and my optimism is viewed as childish. This is a silly example, but one year around Christmas I came out of a store after shopping and found a wrapped peppermint on my car door handle. I smiled, opened it, and ate it right away. When I got home and told my wife, she looked at me like I was insane. Random candy from a stranger? She worried they could have been marking me or that it could have been poisoned. Or maybe someone wanted to share a bit of Christmas joy with strangers by leaving candy. I was not poisoned and I was not marked. I enjoyed the peppermint and smiled. How terrifying. Story 90. If they learn I am far left, they assume I am an atheist. If they learn I am religious, they assume I am right-wing. Story 91. I am a quiet person. Takes a lot for me to open up to someone, but once I do, I don't stop. Story 92. I am not violent. I will go to any lengths to defend myself and my family. Story 93. I appear happy. I smile, work, and help patients, always trying to bring them joy, but the battles I fight personally have broken me. I go home and care for an adult son with schizophrenia and never know what kind of day he will have. Sometimes I do not want to go back or help him anymore. My husband is my rock and the only reason I keep getting up every morning. Story 94. People call me a brave warrior for going through cancer 6 times. I am just surviving and trying not to succumb to the constant emotional breakdowns my brain urges me to fall into. Story 95. Whenever I am asked a direct question, I tell the truth. It often sounds like a lie. Later, when they find out I already told them, they ask why I did not say anything, and I reply that I did. They usually respond that they did not know I was telling the truth. Story 96. I hate to say this. I think I am a 6 out of 10 based on appearance but 9 out of 10 for personality. People at work think I am a player because I am charismatic and exude confidence. Even when I am outside, people assume I am a player. I am not that person. I do not pursue anyone. It is sad, but I am appreciative that I have good health. Story 97. They say that I'm stupid. I didn't complete college or trade school, but I read a lot. I find science fascinating. Story 98. People tend to think I'm immature and a pushover. Yes, I tend to be friendly and I still enjoy watching cartoons and listening to Disney music, but I work for my money and pay my bills like any adult. It's not a crime to enjoy my free time. Story 99. People used to tell me all the time that I was so mature for my age. Looking back now, I was actually very immature. I was very quiet, so I guess they just didn't notice. Story 100. Although I have been called a snob, I do not think I am better than anyone. I often feel that others are better than I am. Story 101. People think I'm much more mellow than I am. I'm actually worn out from being a mother, working full-time, and living in a capitalist hellscape. I have attention deficit disorder, so I'm excellent at masking. Story 102. People assume I am always confident, but most of the time I am just figuring it out on the spot and hoping it looks like confidence from the outside. Story 103. I am rich, and I accept it as a manifestation of my greater life. Story 104. People assume that I am angry, bored, or rolling my eyes at them. In reality, I have a resting bitch face and become more self-conscious about it when someone maintains eye contact. I have become less self-conscious about it over the past few years. Story 105. Some people think I am stuck up because I keep to myself. It is because others always assume things about me, and that is why I keep to myself. I am tired of dealing with fake people and their insincerity. Also, some women assume I am interested in them because of my kind demeanor. No, I am just genuinely a nice, uplifting person because I choose to be. Not enough people are uplifting in the world, so I decided to be more uplifting myself. Story 106. I am a lesbian. I have short hair, and I love flannel shirts, but come on. Story 107. In high school, I was told I was cliquey because I only talk to my friends. I am socially awkward and panic when talking to people I do not know. Story 108. Lonely. I have always had great difficulty making friends. I gave up many years ago and have been happier for it. Social people associate with other social people, and to them it is the default. They cannot imagine someone having no friends or not being upset about it. I defy their expectations because I can be open and outgoing at work and respected by my colleagues. Story 109. I wear a lot of black, leather, spikes, and chains, so people assume I am into bondage, discipline, dominance, submission, sadism, and masochism, or at least really kinky. I am super vanilla. Story 110. People think I am smart because I have a brain full of useless trivia and song lyrics. I really just have a good long-term memory. My short-term memory is poor. Do not tell me your name. I will forget it immediately. I have no idea what my IQ is, but it is probably average. Story 111. I am Mr. Everything, but I am really a normal person who makes life look easy. Story 112. People assume I am a scary person, but in reality I am gentle. Story 113. I'm actually in my 40s, but I don't look it. I feel that will change soon, but I'll enjoy it while it lasts. Story 114. That I am somehow smart because I have 2 successful businesses. Story 115. People think I am quiet and shy, but I do not pretend to like those I dislike. Story 116. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Your comment suggests you are, in fact, smart. Story 117. I am not unsociable. I am simply introverted. At work, I focus on my job and do not engage in small talk like some colleagues. Because I participate less in conversation, some people unfortunately make assumptions. Story 118. Where do I begin? I have been mistaken for 1. Make America Great Again supporter. 2. Die-hard Republican. 3. Racist. 4. Hispanic. 5. Greek. 6. Middle Eastern. 7. Afghan. 8. Italian. 9. Sexist. 10. Spouse abuser. 11. Unapproachable. Story 119. I am not nice. I consider myself moral and correct. I would still wipe out over half of the world's population of people I consider irredeemable if I ever had the chance because they contaminate the fishbowl for everyone else. I am pretty sure wiping out over half of the world's population does not fit the definition of nice. I have zero empathy for people who have none for others. If you think I am nice, chances are you are the kind person I would not eradicate. Story 120. They think that I have many friends because I am an extrovert, but to be honest, I do not. Story 121. I have the opposite of a resting bitch face. Most people look at me and think I'm a nice, goody-two-shoes, girl next door kind of person, but I'm genuinely a mean hard ass with everyone and I only get along with about 3 people. I'm not a bad person. I'm just not everyone's cup of tea, though people assume otherwise, so when they start talking to me, they're immediately put off. Story 122. Not a lesbian or transgender. I just don't care about boxes and labels, and life is more practical when I don't go out of my way to be feminine. Story 123. I am a woman and a keen DIY enthusiast. People assumed I was a lesbian, but I finally found a lovely man who does not mind that I have more power tools than he does. Yay! Story 124. I am a teacher who attended a very good university and also trained at drama school. My friends in the corporate world think I am a little dull, while my friends in the acting world think I am smart. I would say I have above average intelligence. I am just not overly ambitious. Story 125. I was once told I seemed like a metalhead. It took all my self-control not to start cackling at the fact that I still listen to S Club 7. Story 126. I'm a normally functioning, maybe a bit nerdy member of society. I'm severely depressed, autistic, and I also have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I want to kill myself most days. I don't have any plans for my future. I'm living day to day and not really sure why. I'm sorry you're feeling this way. If you are in immediate danger, call your local emergency number now. If you are in the United States, call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Consider reaching out to a trusted person or a mental health professional. I can help find resources or support options if you would like. Story 127. I am extroverted. I make jokes all the time, many of which are insults directed at people I find foolish, and they still think I am socializing with them. Story 128. People say I'm calm and composed, but I'm not. I'm just introverted. Story 129. I am not an extrovert, but I have learned public speaking, how to engage anyone in conversation, and how to sell. Story 130. People assume I'm rich or highly educated. Perhaps I am self-taught, but I've been discriminated against simply because I'm frugal, wise, and know how to dress. It's not that I'm rich. I take good care of my things and find great deals. Story 131. I blush easily, so people who do not know me well, especially men, think I am romantically interested in them. In reality, I often say something awkward and become embarrassed. Story 132. People assume I am wealthy because I do not complain about money. The reality is that I know how to budget and I prioritize my needs over my wants. The one thing I do splurge on going to Broadway shows is carefully considered. I usually go alone because it is expensive and I understand that others cannot or do not want to spend their disposable income on it. Story 133. Uninterested. I want to know about you and learn so much. In my experience, that interest is not often reciprocated, so I feel disappointment before I even try to reach out. I also have a resting bitch face. Story 134. I am antisocial. Very selective indeed would be spot on. Story 135. Most people assume I'm a child. I'm almost 30 and I have 2 children, but my face hasn't changed since my teenage years. Whenever I shop for my family's groceries or for baby clothes, people give me weird looks. Once I heard someone say I look suspicious while buying kids' clothes and colorful socks for myself. I laughed. Story 136. No. Just because I am goth does not mean I am automatically a fan of The Nightmare Before Christmas or of skulls in general. Story 137. People say I am a bitch to women, a flirty pick-me with men, and not very smart. I have a Master of Business Administration and 2 successful businesses, including my spicy business, which I run because the market is huge and I enjoy it. I am only a bitch to men. I am a ride or die girl's girl. I love being underestimated and proving people wrong. It is like a superpower. Story 138. I come across as naive and gullible. Although I have vulnerabilities, I am not truly so. The impression can work in my favor, so I let it be for the time being. Story 139. They think I am gay because I spend most of my time with male friends, and people know I do not have any female friends. Story 140. Naive or gullible. I may be naive at times, but I am perceptive enough to recognize when someone attempts to take advantage of me. I often notice a brief look of surprise or confusion on their face when they realize I am not as easily deceived as they may have thought. Story 141. When I meet someone new and discover we have common interests, I will enthusiastically go down the rabbit hole. We compare stories and experiences. I have been told this comes across as trying to one-up others. I hate that. I do not want to be that person. Story 142. I am quiet in large settings because I am shy. I size up the people to see if there is someone intelligent I can have a good conversation with, but usually there is not. Story 143. I am obsessed with a 600-pound person who lives in Oklahoma. The truth is I am obsessed with girl world as a whole. Story 144. I'm doing fine, probably because that's what I tell them. Story 145. I am not sleeping all day or being lazy. I simply prefer not to socialize much. Story 146. People assume I am an extrovert because of my job, but then they find out I am pretty shy around others. Story 147. That I hate every ape I see, from chimpanzee A to chimpanzee Z. Story 148. Conservatives think I'm liberal, and liberals think I'm conservative. According to internet tests, I'm a left-leaning libertarian, not Tea Party. Story 149. I am academically smart. I am not dumb, but my grades are usually average or slightly above average. Story 150. People assume I was a cheerleader in high school because I'm blonde and bubbly. The joke is on them. I have always been the emo art kid, laughing out loud. Story 151. A lot of people think I am outgoing and the life of the party, but that is just a mask. Story 152. Some people think I am very calm, but actually I am dissociating. Story 153. People just assume I'm confused all the time, but I just have a resting math face. Story 154. They think I am dumb, but I know everything that happens. I play dumb and they still do not realize they are being played by me. Story 155. People often think I'm naive when I'm just being nice. If it goes beyond what I will accept, I warn them once. If they don't listen, I remove them from my life. Story 156. People assume I'm a teenager. I'm closer to 30, but I have had an eating disorder for 15 years, and being autistic makes me look like I'm still 15. Story 157. It is incorrect to assume that I am extremely confident and an extrovert because I am bubbly, talkative, and outgoing. Story 158. La gente asume que todos estamos forrados de dinero. Story 159. They meet my husband and children and assume I am straight. No, I just happened to marry the only man on this planet I was attracted to, who checked off all the nerdy qualities I look for in a partner. Story 160. I have a naturally serious resting facial expression, and my eyebrows make me look angry. My close friends always tell me that when we first met they were cautious. Story 161. People assume many things about me. I carry myself in a way that prevents me from being taken advantage of. What you do with your life is none of my business, and I do not want to be involved in it. Story 162. Some of my friends think I'm a calm person. That is not true. I simply avoid public outbursts and have become very good at keeping my opinions to myself. Story 163. People think I'm easy, will do anything at any time and won't say no. But in reality, I'm just trying to be nice, and they take advantage of me, labeling me as someone who talks to everyone and whom anyone can touch whenever they want. Story 164. La gente piensa que soy clasista, y sí lo soy. Al menos no soy hipócrita defendiendo lo indefendible desde la comodidad de mi casa. No me gustan los villeros. Lo único que me apena de ellos son sus hijos, que tienen que crecer creyendo que esa es la normalidad. Story 165. I've been cursed with resting bitch face. I've been asked countless times if I'm mad. No, but now I am, since you asked me that fucking question. Story 166. I may look serious, but my brain is hosting a comedy show. Story 167. Other parents assume I'm a mess, but I'm actually very organized. As a full-time working mother supporting my family, I don't think people understand that to make this work I will often look like a hot mess. My physical appearance is just my last priority. Story 168. I do not want to kill puppies. I swear it is not my fault I look like Trevor from Grand Theft Auto 5. Story 169. I'll agree with them. More often than not, I disagree but say nothing. Story 170. People assume I'm a player and baller. I'm the complete opposite. Story 171. I live a happy life as a paralyzed woman with a husband and kids. People assume God helped me adjust. It is the only explanation that makes sense to them for why I am happy and do not feel sorry for myself. When I tell them it is the opposite, and that I removed godlike ideals from my life and simply do things that make me happy, they are completely shocked. How can you be happy without God? Seems so silly to me. Story 172. Tengo los sentidos súper desarrollados. Yo solo soy una ciega más en este mundo. Gracias. Story 173. People tell me I am emotionally mature, but my life has fallen apart because of my poor decisions. Story 174. People online assume I am Midwestern because of my lack of an accent, but I am from South Texas. People who know me in real life assume I like country music because I wear boots, but I am a progressive metal fan. Story 175. Some call me a bitch. I just do not like drama. I tend to keep to myself because it is easier than judging others. I really do not care what people think. I may have only a few friends, but that is okay. I am actually a very happy person. Story 176. This may be an odd one, and I am wondering if anyone else has experienced it. People assume I am very wealthy. I live from paycheck to paycheck. While I do think I am generally privileged and have had good opportunities, I did not take advantage of them as a more intelligent person might have. It seems like an odd assumption for someone to make. Story 177. People assume I am opinionated and looking to argue because I am loud and outgoing. I am not. You can talk to me about anything, and I am willing to listen or agree to disagree. Story 178. People think I'm very ditzy and innocent until they get to know me. There have been times when being underestimated worked in my favor, so I don't bother correcting people. Story 179. People think I am a pushover because I am short, overweight, and older. My dear, do not get me started. Story 180. People say I am mysterious and cool, laughing out loud. I am often called cool, but I consider myself casual. I would not call that cool. I am relaxed and slightly lazy with an artistic mind. As for being mysterious, I am not sure where that comes from. I am very private. If you knew me, you might call me an open book, but I keep a very tight circle and do not discuss my personal life with anyone who has not proven their trustworthiness over many years. Story 181. It is funny how people say opposite things about me. Some call me stupid, while others call me very smart. Some say I am frivolous and always laughing, while others say I am serious and it is hard to tell if I ever smile. Laughing out loud. Story 182. People sometimes call me an atheist, but I am a deist and spiritual rather than religious. Many people do not know what deism means and mistakenly ascribe meanings to it. They also assume that being spiritual means I should try to convert others. It does not. I believe everyone has the right to their beliefs, whether atheist, agnostic, religious, or spiritual, and we should respect everyone's boundaries regarding religion or lack of religion. I like people regardless of their beliefs. Story 183. People always assume I am vegan because I usually have a salad for lunch. I find it strange that people equate my liking vegetables with being vegan. I just really like salads. Story 184. I am considered weird because I live in a different culture. Story 185. I don't smile often. I only smile when I'm with someone I know, and most people tell me I look rude. Story 186. When speaking online via audio, people think I am 20 to 30 years old. I am actually 61 now. Story 187. People assume that because my emo style shows my body and I like the attention I get, I want sex. I have never had sex and plan to wait until I find a great guy. Story 188. People think I am calm, put together, and that I know everything at work. My husband and family know the truth. They have heard me go on mute and hit my desk because some people drive me so crazy. Then I unmute and calmly and professionally respond. I also know whom to ask for information. Story 189. I have a problem. Every time I rest one side of my face against my hand, I start daydreaming or staring at nothing. Story 190. My previous bosses commented that I seemed like I would have been from Queen in high school when I told them I had no extracurricular activities and was a college dropout. Having untreated depression and other mental illness that I spent a lot of energy masking will do that. On the other hand, people around whom I do not do a good job of masking think I am stuck up or overly serious. Some have even said they find me scary, which is ironic because I will cry if someone is mean to me. Story 191. I spent 21 years in the Army. Everyone assumes I am conservative and probably a supporter of the Make America Great Again movement because of that. I am so liberal I make Franklin Delano Roosevelt look like Ronald Reagan's mentor. Story 192. I cannot metabolize alcohol and get really sick from it. When I was younger, people assumed I was some straight-edge stick in the mud who would rat everyone out for underage drinking, or that I was no fun or stuck up in my early to mid-20s. I was not. I really did not care unless someone was not safe, for example if they were passed out or considering driving while drunk. Then I would step in, try to help, hide keys, and generally keep very drunk people from making bad decisions. Thankfully, at some point people stopped pressuring others to drink. Now they tend to assume I am pregnant, a recovering alcoholic, or that it is related to my disability. Only the last one is partially true. The rest is just noise. Generally, I am left alone at this point. Before I had to stop driving because of medical issues, friends seem to enjoy having a built-in designated driver. Overall, I find it highly amusing that alcohol consumption is such a default in our society that many people think it is impossible not to want to drink. Honestly, I do not need a reason. I might simply not feel like drinking, and that is valid. Story 193. I am not a lesbian. I am just very plain and do not wear makeup. Story 194. I have a resting bitch face, so if I don't speak and just pass by, I often come across as a very intimidating badass. Once I start talking, it's a completely different story. Story 195. I am a smoker and a drinker. I have a lot of piercings and tattoos, and my hair is a funky color. But I am straight edge, laughing out loud. Story 196. Many people assume I am very serious, especially extroverted jokesters who are always trying to make others laugh. The truth is I am not serious most of the time. I am an introvert with an extremely dry, sarcastic sense of humor, and I do not find most people's attempts at humor funny. Story 197. People assume I must be a math genius just because I have autism and am high-functioning. I cannot comprehend, let alone solve, basic lower-level college algebra. I barely passed my high school algebra class, and that was only because an amazing friend tutored me. Story 198. I get called a skinhead and treated harshly or aggressively even when I haven't said anything. I'm just relaxing. In reality, I'm watching butterflies and thinking about my next meal. No, I'm not eating the butterflies. The cocoons are crunchier. Story 199. People tell me I would be a great leader. Little do they know I am a lone wolf. Story 200. Most people think I am high on cocaine or something. I am just fidgety and sweaty, and for some reason my nose always runs, so I do not look good. Story 201. People think I'm a juggalo because I have a clown tattoo and listened to the Insane Clown Posse about 30 years ago. I'm not a juggalo, but I still know many of their song lyrics and laugh out loud about it. I'm a 40-year-old, boring white man who works in an office. Story 202. I'm often mistaken for being really wealthy. I think my tall stature and aristocratic features are what give that vibe. I have always been an apartment dweller, and I've never driven a nice car. Story 203. People say I am confident and that I inspire them, but I feel like I am just good at hiding my antisocial side. Spending time with friends usually helps me get over it, since I am still in the process of building my social skills. Story 204. I am an editor. I do not care how you write and refuse to proofread my own texts. Spelling is not real, man. Story 205. People think I do not like them because I do not talk much. I am just an awkward person who dislikes conversation. They also say I am rude because I cannot look people in the eyes. Story 206. People tend to think I am smart, but I studied communication and am lackluster in any meaningful field. I spent my college years in remedial math. I have a college degree and am nearing 30, but I am unemployed because I have zero marketable skills that you could not get from an artificial intelligence model for free. The fact that I have not choked on my own saliva is, frankly, a miracle. Sometimes it is not humility, we are genuinely just stupid. Story 207. I remember the first time a group of people told me that I am extroverted. No effing way. Story 208. I am outspoken and often voice my opinion, but I almost never share my true thoughts unless I know the other person thinks similarly. There are very few occasions when I actually talk back. Story 209. People always think I'm Puerto Rican or some other type of Hispanic, but I'm Egyptian and Palestinian. Story 210. People think I'm rude because I'm quiet. I'm just antisocial and it's not that big of a deal. How can people be uncomfortable around quiet people? And what does that have to do with me? Story 211. People assume I have standards for the men I date because I am kind of a catch. Story 212. People think I am vegan for some reason. I guess I just look the part. Story 213. I'm extroverted. In my job I have to be, so I maintain that charade when I talk to people. But I really hate talking to people I don't know. I prefer to be by myself. Story 214. I am not lazy. I just hate my job and have no other options. Knock yourselves out working your guts out for a boss who does not even care about you. I judge you for being a sucker. Story 215. I am a middle-aged white male. I am a business professional and dress conservatively for work. People assume I am a conservative, but I am actually a progressive liberal, apparently in disguise. Story 216. I tend to make people feel on edge and uncomfortable because they think I look mean and unapproachable. I genuinely do not mean to. I have the male version of resting bitch face, and I have been told I carry myself in a way that makes me look angry. I am often down and I do not go out of my way to speak to people I do not know. But I do not consider myself a mean person. Story 217. People think I am good at dealing with others and always on top of my work. I have been drowning for 15 years. Story 218. Interested? I am clearly not. It is written all over my face. You even said that my facial expression scares people away. So why do you think I am interested? Story 219. People thought I was extroverted. My profession demanded that I always be on. No one knew how much it drained me. In reality, I am on the other end of the spectrum, very introverted. Story 220. People assume I am chill, but I have a mile-a-minute anxiety brain encased in an unreactive outer shell, so no one can see that I am actually a constantly vibrating, multi-tentacled blob. This enables me to maintain friendly, normal relationships and gainful employment. Story 221. I am a woman who is tall and has a low voice. I do not wear makeup or feminine clothing. Many random strangers assume I am a man. Story 222. People assume, based on first impressions, that I am outgoing, party a lot, and have a big group of friends. I am actually the complete opposite. Story 223. I do not mean to suggest that I do not care about them or that I am uninterested in what they are saying. I am a quiet person and I struggle with social anxiety. Sometimes I do not know how to articulate what I want to say in the moment. I may want to reach out, but I am afraid they will think I am being annoying, so I keep my thoughts to myself. Story 224. According to my high school bullies, I was a lesbian. The joke's on them. I ended up pansexual. I liked boys too. Brittany. Story 225. People assume I'm this wild party animal who's going out drinking multiple times a week after work. I'm actually just sitting in my courtyard reading a book in peace. Story 226. People assume I am a vegetarian, probably because I work with animals and in conservation. Although I limit my meat intake, I sometimes eat chicken nuggets or pork chops. Story 227. I am stupid. You asked me a question. I did not hear it and asked you to repeat it. I then answered in the middle of your statement because my head has a poor wireless connection. Story 228. People ask if I am Samoan or Tongan. Although it is a major compliment to be compared to other Polynesian women, I am actually a big Filipina. I am 5 feet 10 inches tall and weigh 230 pounds, 150 pounds of which is muscle. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.